The first alarm did not sound like danger. It sounded like paperwork. A soft chime passed through the corridors of Elathric's Interstellar Medical Conservatory, low enough to avoid panic, precise enough to summon compliance. On the diagnostic floor, transparent walls dimmed to privacy opacity. In Observation Bay 7, the specimen's heart rate did not change. Era Solon lay on the examination plinth, with her hands folded over her abdomen, breathing slow, eyes open. The automated needles withdrew from her arm and sealed without leaving a mark. Her blood sample vanished into a sterile conduit that led deeper into the facility. Across the glass, Dr. Kethvral paused mid-notation. His frilled mandibles tightened. "That's impossible," he said quietly. The assistant drone hovered, silent. The screen between them displayed a readout that had no margin of error. The blood sample was gone. Not consumed. Gone. Protocol demanded escalation. Protocol always demanded escalation. But Kethvral hesitated, because this was not the first anomaly involving the human. Era did not look at him. She did not ask questions. She did not speak. The conservatory had been designed to study fragile minds. The mistake had been assuming humans were among them. The Lathrix Conservatory existed at the edge of civilized space, anchored to a red dwarf whose radiation profile made it unsuitable for most species without shielding. It was a place for understanding, not training, where cadets from dozens of member polities learned how to interface with unknown biologists, unknown psychologists, and unknown threats without resorting to violence. Humans had been admitted 3 cycles earlier under a low-risk exchange classification. Death world origin, yes, but statistically compliant. High pain tolerance, moderate aggression suppression, limited psionic presence. Useful observers. Unremarkable subjects. Era Solon fit the file perfectly. She arrived with no entourage, no recorded accolades, no psychological waivers beyond the standard. She spoke only when addressed, answered only what was asked, and did not volunteer context. Her posture suggested discipline, but not dominance. She slept lightly. She ate precisely. She logged every assigned hour and no more. She was forgettable. Until the conservatory initiated the Nocturne Integration Program. The program was mandatory for all second-tier researchers and observers. It paired species with radically incompatible circadian cycles to test adaptability under shared operational stress. The conservatory prided itself on preparing minds for interstellar realities where light, time, and hunger did not align. Era was assigned to Subject V1138. The species designation translated Pauli into trade common. The closest approximation was hemovore. Among themselves, they were called the Velthrin. Velthrin physiology was elegant and terrifying. Their bodies were elongated, cartilage-reinforced, with dermal membranes that responded to low-light photons like liquid mirrors. Their internal organs could suspend function for extended periods, allowing them to survive vacuum exposure and radiation bursts that would kill most known life. They fed on blood. Not metaphorically, not ritualistically, biochemically. Their civilization had learned long ago to synthesize substitutes, but the substitutes dulled cognition, blunted memory, and introduced errors in long-term planning. True blood, living blood, was different. It carried electrochemical narratives, hormonal context, fragments of lived experience. It made them sharper. The conservatory permitted limited blood exchange under strict controls. Only donors from consenting species. Only microvolumes. Only under supervision. Humans were not on the donor list. Era's assignment was observational only. She would share nocturnal lab hours with V1138, catalog behavior, note stress markers, and report deviations. There would be a barrier between them. There would always be a barrier. On the first night cycle, the lights dimmed to the Velthrin's preferred spectrum. Era's pupils dilated slightly. Her heart rate remained steady. V1138 emerged from his rest alcove with soundless grace. His eyes reflected her like twin shards of mercury. "You are the human," he said, voice layered with harmonics that bypassed auditory processing and brushed the mind directly. "Yes," Era replied. "You do not smell afraid." "No." Silence stretched. The barrier hummed faintly. "You know what I am," V1138 said. "Yes." "You know what I require." "Yes." "You are not permitted to give it." No. He tilted his head, studying her. Then why are you here during my active hours? Assignment. Do you resent it? No. Velthrin's social cues were subtle, but there was amusement in the way his membranes flexed. You will learn, he said. Most do. The nights passed. Error logged data. V1138 performed cognitive tasks, spatial reasoning exercises, predictive modeling. His performance declined incrementally, as expected, without true blood supplementation. The conservatory noted it. They always did. What they did not note was the way his attention lingered on the human observer. The way he timed his movements to her breathing. The way he spoke less to the recording arrays and more to her. You do not ask questions, he said on the fourth cycle. I listen. You do not sleep when I sleep. I rest. You do not dream. Era's pen paused. Everyone dreams. I can taste dreams, V1138 said. Even through barriers. Yours are quiet. She did not respond. On the seventh cycle, the conservatory issued a procedural update. Due to resource constraints, barriers would be lowered during supervised nocturne sessions to test psychological responses to proximity. Physical contact remained forbidden. Keth Vral signed the authorization with a tremor in his mandibles. When the barrier retracted, the air changed. Velthrin proximity affected electromagnetic fields at a micro level. Senses flickered. Era's skin prickled, not with fear, but with awareness. V1138 approached until he stood less than a meter away. His presence was cold and intimate, like standing beside a deep ocean trench. You are closer to me than any donor has been, he said. I'm not a donor. No. He leaned in, inhaled. Your blood sings. Era met his gaze. Step back. He did. The conservatory breathed again. Weeks passed. Performance metrics worsened. V1138 began making errors no Velthrin should make. His predictions drifted. His memory retrieval lagged. The council convened. Termination was discussed. On the night before the decision, V1138 did not rise from his alcove. Era waited. Minutes became an hour. The senses registered internal shutdown. A Velthrin entering torpor without preparation risked permanent cognitive loss. Era stood. The alarms had not sounded yet. Bureaucracy lagged behind biology. She approached the alcove. There was no barrier now. No protocol accounted for this exact configuration. Wake up, she said. His eyes opened. Dim. I am failing. You're starving. Yes. Then eat. I cannot. You can. His attention sharpened. Just a fraction. You are not authorized. No. Then you will not. Era rolled up her sleeve. The room's senses spiked. This is a violation, V1138 said, voice taut. You will be sanctioned. Yes. You may die. Yes. He did not move. Velthrin blood pacts, she said, voice even. Irreversible. Mutual. His membranes flared in shock. How do you know this? I read. A blood pact binds donor and consumer. It is not feeding. It is joining. I know. You will be altered. I know. Silence pressed in, thick as gravity. Why? He asked. Era looked at her exposed skin, at the veins mapped beneath. Because you're dying. And because if they terminate you, they'll classify it as a procedural failure instead of a knowledge failure. You would do this for an institution that forbids you. I'm doing it for you. That, more than the blood, undid him. He moved with reverence, not hunger. His fangs pierced her skin with surgical precision. Pain fled, sharp and clean, then settled into a deep ache. The world tilted. Velthrin feeding was not passive. It was a dialogue. Era felt him taste her memories, not as images, but as pressures and temperatures. Cold mornings. Controlled breathing. The discipline of survival on a world that tried to kill you with weather and microbes and gravity. V1138 gasped. He pulled back, eyes blazing. What are you? He whispered. Human. The alarm screamed. By the time security arrived, it was too late. The blood pact had sealed. Era collapsed, not unconscious, but emptied. V1138 caught her before she fell. The council did not convene. They panicked. Velthran blood pacts had never been formed with non-Velthran species. The implications rippled outward like a shockwave. Legal, biological, political. Era survived. Her physiology adapted with terrifying efficiency. Her blood chemistry stabilized. Her immune system integrated Velthran markers and neutralized them without rejection. She healed faster. She slept less. Her dreams remained quiet. V1138 changed more. He stabilized beyond baseline. His cognitive performance exceeded historical norms. His predictions became unsettlingly accurate. He began anticipating questions before they were asked. And he deferred to Era. Not publicly. Not ceremonially. In small ways. A pause before speaking. A glance. A recalibration of posture. The conservatory rewrote its classifications. Humans were removed from the low-risk list. No announcement was made. Procedures were adjusted. Barriers reinforced. Blood exchange policies suspended indefinitely. Era returned to her duties. She did not explain herself. She did not seek recognition. When asked if she regretted the pact, she answered, no. When asked if she would do it again, she said nothing. V1138 remained at the conservatory, no longer as a subject, but as a consultant. When he spoke of humans, he did not describe strength or ferocity. He spoke of restraint, of a species that carried monsters in its blood and chose, every day, not to feed them. In the quiet hours before artificial dawn, Era and V1138 would stand side by side, watching the red dwarf burn against the void. Bound by blood, changed forever, and still underestimated.